welcome Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Lookalikes? Well, not really. This biker had the wherewithal. I mean, I'm quite impressed. This black streak of fur went past him and, nearly upset his bike. He came to a screeching halt, got his iPhone out, and snapped this picture. I don't know why just one, I'd be, a lot of them. But it was being presented as, obviously, a Sasquatch. Sasquatch running on all fours, but nevertheless a Sasquatch. And I said, why is that a Sasquatch? Well, you can see the ears are not up on top of the head. I can't see the head, And I said, what about this little appendage here? And he wasn't having it. I didn't want to make too much of a fuss while he was doing his talk. And I went home that night, though, and I went to the hotel, and I quickly just Googled bear running away. And boom, picture, dead ringers. And I said, here's why you can't see the head. Look at that. The rump's up in the air, and the head and the ears are way down below. That's a bear. No, it's not a bear. It's not a bear. Well, the Jacobs photo. Now, how many of you think, should I ask? No, I won't. A lot of controversy, a lot of discussion, a lot of argument. Just look at it. I mean, you can see there's a pelvis that's of a quadruped. It's a funny looking thing, admittedly. But let's look at some of these other pictures just gleaned from, there's been a run on them lately on the internet. Here's one from Virginia. It was suggested this could be a Sasquatch. Here's one. I must admit, if I went out back to let the dogs out and that was in my backyard, that's a little funky looking. But nevertheless, I mean, it's got a tail. It's, the legs are quite extended. It's a little bit lankier than I would expect, but that's a bear. There's no question that's a bear. This is a bear. It's two bears. There's a bear here and a little bear here. That's a bear. You put them all together, you start to see them one after the other, and the pattern should start to emerge, just like your little exercise of footprints and paws. Get that search image, that image that ingrained, emblazoned in your mind, in your search image. But you see all these one right after another, and there's no question they're all the same. They're all black bears. Now, so conclusions. Wrap this up. Yes, there are more than one anthropomorphic figures out there. There is potential for conflation. Are they really lookalikes? Well, no. No. If your observation is sufficient to draw a conclusive identification. Bears and Sasquatch do share biogeographic distribution. There are similarities in their niche, but they're distinctive. There is some overlap, but there's distinction as well that allows them to, as large omnivores, to coexist, more or less. Footprints are distinctive. Without much effort, and photographs shouldn't be a problem either. Now, why is this an issue? Well, think about Waldo. Waldo's a pretty distinctive looking character. He's quite dashing. He'd stand out in a crowd, right? Well, apparently not. And that's the whole point of the game, isn't it? Where's Waldo? Can you see him? Anyone find him yet? Yeah? Boom, right there, right dead center. Now, what's the point of that little analogy? Well, if the internet and conferences and things get flooded with misidentifications, with things that are overinterpreted, that are imagined, we lose sight of our primary point of interest. We want to draw attention. We don't want the Joe Nickel theory to gain traction with our colleagues, right? I mean, if that's it's my motivation, obviously, to lend credibility to this. It's my motivation to get my colleagues to at least consider the evidence. I may be convinced. I'm not out to convince them, other than that they should at least entertain the notion. So we want to be more discriminate. We want to draw attention to the good credible, solid, substantial evidence. Not the indirect, not the things that require inference beyond credulity, but the things that are, that are the bread and butter, the footprints, the scat, the hair samples, the vocalizations, that are quantified by sonograms, and so forth. That's what will further our efforts. Thank you very much.
Is he not a rock star or what? Oh, man. Woo!